Lakers and the Suns. The Phoenix Suns made a statement yesterday and last night, blowing out the defending champs by 30 points, 115 to 85. And they take a 3-games to 2-game series lead. This was a statement. This was a monumental statement. And let me first say this. The start to the game obviously set the tone for the rest of the game. But this was not surprising to the start of the game. The start of the game, you knew inside that packed arena, the building was absolutely electric. The atmosphere was incredible. The Suns just released a salvo of offense right from the get-go. Devin Booker scored 18 points in the first quarter. Cameron Payne, all of a sudden, Cameron Payne is the next heralded backup point guard. He drops 10 points in the first quarter, and the Suns were rolling. They blitzed the Lakers right from the jump on a 16-0 run after the Lakers led 10-5. The Lakers played well the first 2 minutes of the game, and then Phoenix took it over. Again, a 16-0 run after the first 2 minutes of the first quarter, and they never looked back. It opened up the floodgates for the remainder of the game, and it was over. And the bottom line is the Phoenix Suns, give credit to them because they played with a desperation and an urgency, and their fan base supported them as if they haven't been to the postseason in the last 11 years, which is the case. They played with more urgency. They brought a ton more effort throughout the entire game. The Lakers came out sharp for the first 2 minutes when they jumped out 8-3 and then 10-5. And then it's as if they released all the air out of their balloon. All the helium was gone. And it just kind of trickled down to the ground and fell softly on the ground. But give credit to the Phoenix Suns. They said, hey, you're not coming into our building after we just took back home court, and we're giving you an opportunity to close this thing out in LA. We're going to make it difficult for you to, at the very least, take this the distance. And so when I look at this game yesterday, basically what the Lakers were saying was they acquiesced to the fact that, hey, we're going to lose game 5. They just caved. They packed it in early in this game and just said, okay, we're going to go back to Staples Center and play game 6 at home, and we're going to try and regroup, perhaps get a healthier Anthony Davis, and try and do this thing one more time in game 7. And that plan is all good and well and dandy. I like that plan if you can actually back it up. And right now, I'm not sure if they can back it up. I would say on the spectrum, am I nervous or not nervous between 1 to 10? Right now, I'm at a 7.5 if you're the Lakers fans, because I do think they'll win game 6 at home, even without Anthony Davis. I think LeBron will muster up a game. But you take a look at last night, and LeBron, he was aggressive for the first 2 minutes. Then he was ice cold on his next 3 shots, and then all of a sudden transformed back into the facilitator that he's been ever since he's been rehabbing from that high ankle sprain. And unfortunately, at this point in the season, and especially last night, that's not the type of LeBron James that the Lakers needed. I know the stats say 24 points and 7 rebounds, 5 assists. 17 of LeBron's 24 points came in the third quarter. He hit 5 3-pointers all in the third quarter, but that was too late. He was trying to be a facilitator early on in the ball game when all those 3-pointers, all that offense was needed earlier on in the game. And again, to the Phoenix Suns' credit, they absolutely were swarming defensively. The biggest difference in the game was the turnovers. Lakers had 16 turnovers. They committed 16 turnovers. The Phoenix Suns committed just 4. And when you look at the support that each team got, almost every single player on the Phoenix Suns scored at least 5 points or more. And I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but what it's used to highlight is that every single player contributed. CP3, yes, he only had 9 points, but he hit a couple big buckets that just really emotionally and psychologically blew open the game on that 3-pointer that increased the deficit to 21. The game just felt totally out of hand at that point. And on the flip side, the Lakers had 2 starters that didn't score a single point. Now, KCP was trying to play some defense. He was rehabbing from that lower extremity hyperextended leg. So I'm not going to fault him completely for only playing 15 minutes and not giving any points. Dennis Schroeder, hi, Dennis Schroeder. There's a playoff game going on. You want $100 million, and you go 0 for 9 from the floor, 0 for 4 from the three-point line, no free throws. You put up a goose egg in a game of this magnitude. Dennis Schroeder wants to be a really high-paid point guard. He wants a $100 million contract. He declined a 4-year, $84 million contract from the Lakers, which right now seems either appropriate or overpaying for him, given the type of performances that he was putting out. Dennis Schroeder in the wins this year, in the 2 wins against the Phoenix Suns this postseason, averaging 22 points on 52% shooting. And on the 3 losses for the Lakers this year, against the Phoenix Suns in the first round, 7 points on 28% shooting. So Schroeder goes 0 for 4 from the three-point line. Kuzma goes 1 for 5. Wesley Matthews goes 1 for 5. Caruso goes 1 for 4. McLemore goes 0 for 2 from the three-point line. And this has been the biggest problem that has plagued the Lakers all season and all year, is their inability to shoot the three-point shot. That's been the biggest problem in the game. And for their series, they cannot hit a three-point shot. They ranked 25th in the NBA last year, or this past season, and they were 15th out of 16th shooting the ball at a 31.4% clip from the three-point line. That's 15th out of 16 NBA playoff teams that are in the playoffs this year. So to me, what this feels like LeBron James and the Cavaliers from 2018. LeBron James carrying that team of misfits all the way to the finals. When he brought an injured Kevin Love, a hobbled Kevin Love, Tristan Thompson, Cuckoo J.R. Smith, George Hill, even actually Jay Crowder was on that team, Jeff Green, Rodney Hood, a bunch of these guys. And in that Eastern Conference Finals against the Celtics, when it went 7 games, the Cavs lost all 3 road games by pretty substantial margins. They won all 3 home games because LeBron was heroic in those games. And then in Game 7 on the road at Boston, that's when LeBron James drops 35 points, 15 rebounds, 9 assists, and the Cavs win 87-79 to survive the Celtics, a young and up-and-coming Celtics team, to reach the finals to ultimately get waxed by the Warriors in 4 games. LeBron hasn't summoned that yet. And so at this point, I'm not sure if he will. At some point he will, and I hope he does, because they need it absolutely right now. He didn't summon that, and they're going to absolutely need for him to be great in game 6. They're going to need him to be. And let's see, Devin Stott, man, the whole street clothes look for players on the bench is whack as hell. Look like a professional. I agree. And how about that Schroeder stat line? You're absolutely right. Appreciate the comment. Your next comment about Stevens in Boston, I'm going to touch on the Boston Celtics news in just a couple minutes, so don't go anywhere. There is breaking news in Boston, which I will touch on. But to hit your first point, which I appreciate, Schroeder, again, 0 for 9 from the floor, 0 for 4 from the three-point line. Again, I said Dennis Schroeder wants to make $100 million. You can't just do it. You can't be just a defensive stalwart trying to pick up CP3 full court and expect to make $100 million. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. And I like Dennis Schroeder. I think that he is a really good player, and when he's on, he adds a different dynamic and a different element to a Lakers team that they're missing oftentimes. But it needs to come through. It needs to come through big time. Speaking of coming through big time,